YouTube, what's good? So today, Keyon and Keymajorbeatz is going to go over their top favorite secret plugins and sounds they like to use to cook up on the daily. Now with this video, we also provided the PDF to all the plugins and sounds mentioned in this video. So make sure you click the link in the description or the link in the pinned comment. They get straight to the video.
So first effect we got is Harmony Bloom. It's pretty much a MIDI sequencer that you can put onto any plugin, and it can play out scales for you to come up with some like crazy chord runs. So right now we got Keyscape pulled up. You can set a scale up here, and you know I got the root note set to C chromatic and a minor 9 scale. So you can pretty much just play whatever you want. So you got all these crazy parameters that you can mess with just to see what you like. So I can turn up the notes. Let's see what it sounds like. So next VST we got is Notonic 2. I think this plugin is still pretty new, but it has a lot of analog sounds that you guys can use on your samples. So they also have built-in chords that you guys can use. Next thing we got is Heirloom by Spitfire Audio. I mostly use this for the strings, but they got a bunch of different sounds that y'all can use, like guitars, contrabasses, tubas, pianos, everything like that. But I'm gonna just show y'all the string. So next VST we got is the OB1 by G-Force. I don't know which Oberheim synth this is, but it's a really good emulation of one of the Oberheim synths. Next thing we got is the Decent Sampler, which is a free version of Contact that comes with a bunch of free banks that you can work with. But for this video, I'm using London Reigns banks, which you can get for like, I think like $15. Like you got a bunch of banks you can choose from. And this is what it sounds like. So next VST we got is Bardzo by Felt Instruments. If you guys like pianos, bells, weird ethnic sounding instruments, this is the perfect VST to use. Personal favorite is this preset right here, the Marxophone rods. So next thing we got is another G-Force plugin, the OBX. This emulates the Oberheim OBX 8, I think, pretty sure. This one's also a really good emulation of Oberheim synths. So these next 3 banks are 3 banks that you can find inside of Contact. So the first bank in Contact that we got is the Shoe Factory. You can find this on Spitfire. So the next bank we got is Anamorph by Teletone Audio. This has a lot of analog vintage sounds that y'all can work with if y'all want to get that Desert sound. So the last Contact bank we got is Serendipity by Audio Bloom. You can also find this one on Spitfire. So now on to the effects. The first effect we got is Rerun, which is pretty much like a looper pedal, kind of like the blooper. I think that's what it does. Here's the sound without Rerun. And with Rerun. The next effect we got is Delay Brigade by Arturia, and this is my go-to delay whenever I make samples. Like, I use this a lot. So here's a phrase I made without the delay. And with the delay. The next effect we got is CLA Guitar Stereo. So I normally use this plugin whenever I want my guitar to sound more realistic or a wider sound. So here, I got this guitar pulled up. Here's what it sounds like without it. And here's how it sounds with the guitar stereo.
I want to go ahead and talk to you about a free pack that you could download. The link is going to be in the description, and it's called the Trap Genesis Beta Pack. This is a free pack that is over 3.5 gigs full of sounds, including melodies, drums, midis, drum loops, all types of stuff. So with that being said, make sure y'all go download that free kit. All right, let's get back to the video. All right, so today I'll be showing you guys my top 15 VSTs that I think every sample maker, producer needs just to be making good music, good samples. So Keyon just showed his 15. Let's get straight to it. All right, so first I got Chroma, and this is from Cherry Audio. I have most of their plugins, but I'm going to be showing my two favorite ones, which is Chroma and then Mercury. But I'm going to be showing Chroma first, and then in here I got some highlighted VSTs. This is just like a synth VST. It's got a bunch of dope sounds in here. I got a MIDI that I'm going to be playing for y'all. Got a lot of dope like synth type of sounds, real weird unique pads and stuff. This one's gotta be one of my favorites, to be honest. On to the next Cherry Audio plugin we got. This from the same company. It's got Mercury 6, and it's very, very similar. A lot of cool synth sounds in here, but a little different. And just like Chroma, it has a bunch of settings on here to tweak the sound exactly how you want. So it's also really dope for sound designing for anyone that makes kits and stuff like that. But I got a couple favorited presets in here that I'm going to be showing you guys, playing the MIDI as well. Like I said, a bunch of dope synth sounds, basses, pads, a bunch of like that. If you want to go for that like Mike Dean, Travis Scott feel. So yeah, very similar to the Chroma, which I think the Chroma is a little better, but still really, really dope for to replicate that synth sound, even, you know, though you don't have a synth because, you know, they're all fucking expensive. So next we got Mtron Pro, and some of you guys have always seen like the Mellotron from Arturia, but I think this is probably one of the best Mellotron VSTs, probably my favorite. And then same thing, it has a lot of like the classic Mellotron sounds, woodwind strings, mallets, flutes, choirs, brass, a bunch of the classic sounds, but just in my opinion this is my favorite one, and I got a couple presets I'm gonna play for you guys. So next we got Sky Keys. Now Sky Keys is a VST that's on the come up. I don't know if you've seen it on Instagram, but they've been blasting tons of ads over and over. I had to try it out. So I tried it out a couple of months ago, and yeah, it's got a bunch of cool sounds in here. This might be one of the most unique VSTs that I'm showing. I'm not gonna play some of the most unique sounds because you do gotta do some digging for some of the best presets, but here's a couple I'm gonna be playing for you guys. This crackle reverse piano is probably one of my favorite presets in here. It's just so unique, so weird, and there's not many VSTs I've used that have like a preset like this or a very unique sound like this one. And then lastly, this preset, Rocket Octave, is just so unique, and it just kind of replicates that sound like a pedal, like the third mirror blooper. So these presets are very, very dope. You can see it has a cool catalog, vintage tape effect, and just so much more to experiment. And there's also a bunch of settings down here to mess with your own sounds and, you know, sound design for yourself. For the last one, speaking of sound design, I got this Regen Light Neon. This is from Loophole. It's a VST I haven't used a lot, but I got recently, and it's pretty dope because you click this generate button down here and it just makes a sound for you on the spot. You got octave, and you got a couple of effects to use on here. So I'm pretty sure this was made in Patcher because you can see like all the settings in here and all the effects they used to make this. So I think this might be FL only, I believe, but it's really, really dope because it just makes a sound for you on the spot, and it's pretty dope for sound designing and just cooking up with it in general. So that sounds really, really dope, and I could just go in here, click generate, and it'll give me another sound. I can just repeat the same process. And I like using this to make some one-shots sometimes and sound designing with this, so it's pretty dope. Alright, so that's all the VSTs I just showed. Now we're going to move on to the contact banks. Alright, so the first contact bank I'm going to be showing is this LA Scoring Strings 2, probably second place for my favorite string bank, and it just has so many sounds in here, a bunch of folders, and then each folder just has a bunch of sounds. So it's gonna be impossible for me to show you guys everything. I want to leave it up to you guys to mess around with it. It has a bunch of multis in here, which the multis is basically a bunch of presets in one, which is just super dope, and a bunch of more folders. But I just have this pretty simple preset on here, and I'm gonna be playing this MIDI. It's got harmonics, sustains, tremolos, trills, staccato, everything in here. It's got some dope bass. So this is really like the only bank or bundle, whatever you want to call it, for strings. You really don't need anything else once you get this one here. This is one of the cellos. So the next contact bank I got on here is this this one right here, Wild Mother's Dulcimer, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. So this is actually a free bank. You can get this for free. I don't know if it's still available, but I got it off pianobook.com, I think is the website. It's 100% free, which is crazy, but in here, there's a couple presets, and I'm going to be playing the Plucked. This is probably my most used one. On to the next one. So next we got Teletone audio. Now Teletone is pretty popular. A lot of you might have seen this before, but I gotta recommend Teletone at least once for anyone that hasn't seen it. I got the Ondine, and then I got this one right here. Both of these are super fire, but I do prefer the Ondine. I feel like it's a little more cleaner. This one has a lot more distorted, weird synth type of sounds, which is more of a hit or miss, but they're both really dope. I'm gonna just play some of these presets so I can show you guys. Most of these are all really like synth sounds, so it's really easy to replicate that sound with this bank. Got a lot of weird texture type of synth sounds, which is really unique and really fire. And I didn't show any of these because they kind of slowed on my computer, to be honest, but these multis basically has a bunch of the presets in one, and these are even more fire than the regular instrument ones in my opinion. But it has so many presets, and if you do get the chance, you get the Lagibbet, if I'm even pronouncing that correctly. This one's really dope too, and it's a little more unique, a little more different than the Ondine, but they're both really fire. I really recommend anything from Teletone Audio. Next, I got Playbox. Now this one is a little weird and a little more different than any of the other VSTs or contact banks I'm showing. This generates a really dope sound for you, but it also plays chords for you. So if I just play any note on here, it's going to play a chord.
So I'll be honest, this bank is a little confusing, to be completely honest, but if you go in here, you could generate like new sounds and stuff just by rolling this dice. And then in here, there's a couple presets you could pick, some little categories, but then there's a whole another section where you can mess with the chords. So in here, you can actually mess with the chords. You could also go in piano mode. Actually, I don't even know what that does. Like I said, it's a little confusing, but if you just kind of like practice and study it, there's effects in here, a bunch of effects. There's a lot of settings in here that I haven't even really spent the time to learn and fully grasp this contact bank, but it's really, really dope. You can set the key up here. Here's one of the presets called Ask the Dusk. Now the last contact bank I got in here is this Polygrade Stereo Tape Synth Bank. This is honestly just a contact bank that I kept seeing a Instagram ad on over and over. And I just went on the website, I thought it was pretty dope. I bought it, not really knowing much, but actually it's pretty dope. It has a bunch of cool synth sounds in here and a little more of like on the vintage side where they sound a little more like old and just really vintage in general. So those are just a couple of the presets. Has a really cool like home screen, whatever you want to call it. Got a lot of cool settings in here. And you got these two, you got your ADSR over here, and just a bunch of little settings you could add, change, tweak, anything. Last but not least, your effects are very important. You know, you need to have some good processing because you can really take any of these VSTs that already sound really dope and just make them sound 10 times better with the right effects. Now I'll be honest, I don't use too many effects, but I tried to get the best sauce for you guys, the best effects that I don't really see too many people use. And even if some of these are a little popular, they're just too good. I had to recommend them, and too very unique, not your basic like chorus, reverb, like any of that stuff. So the first one I got on here is Sprite, Air Sprite, and it has a bunch of presets on here. This is the startup preset, so this is the preset that is up here when you open it, and I'm gonna just play one of these VSTs with this effect on it. So that's with the effect on, and this is when I turn the effect off. And then this is it without the effect on. So this one adds some saturation, some texture to it, so really, really dope VST. A little weird, to be honest, with these like settings on here. But you know, you got your distortion, your mod 1, mod 2, you could pick whatever effect you want on here. So in here you have your delay, your reverb, and then you got your EQ, compression, a bunch of your basic, like very, very basic settings on here with gain, EQ, all this stuff. So the next VST I want to show is Auto Chroma, and it's very similar to Portal and Fragments. It basically takes the audio and just kind of chops it up. As you can see, all these little like waveforms going by the screen. It's basically just, I don't know, it does a lot of weird stuff too. Let me just show you guys. So I got this preset right here, and here's how it sounds. Let me just play some more presets for you guys on here. So this effect is perfect for really taking a sound and then just completely changing it, flipping a sound, even flipping a sample. It's really, really fire for that. And it's got all these weird effects down here you could tweak and make your own presets. So the next one is Lifeline Expanse. Now this one is perfect and really fire for sound designing, especially drums. I've used this a lot in my kits, just using these to make some drums, taking old drums that I've had and just kind of reviving them, making it sound a lot better. The 808's more punchy, the clap snares more crisp. It's got a drums folder, creative folder, but it's also really dope for melodies and just making some samples with it. So I got this preset right here, and here's how it sounds. Play some more of these for y'all. And then lastly, this Lo-Fi Waves preset. I was picking these presets in the creative folder, which is the folder that's my favorite in here. It really changes the sound. We got a bunch of other stuff in here: bass, bass, drums, guitar, a bunch of stuff. All right, so looking at my list, that's pretty much all the VSTs except 2 that I left out for the end. So the last 2 I left is a effect, and it's actually the Cory Wong. Now I left these 2 because these really start to like blow up my computer. You could already see I haven't even played anything and my CPU is already like halfway, but this is perfect for guitars and using any sort of like guitar instruments if you play guitar or a VST, but I really recommend it to just using in your own samples in general. I like to throw this on the master. I like to just throw this on sounds to really get them all washed out and really like vintage, old sounding. My favorite preset definitely has to be Clean as a Whistle. Has to be my favorite preset. Just takes any clean sound and just makes it sound bad in a good way, like a very vintage type of sound. If you're going for that Q beats vintage type of samples and stuff like that, it just has a bunch of cool effects in here that could really change the sound and make it gritty, distorted, washed out, and it's just really dope to make anything sound old, and it's just so fire in general. You can tell it's all mono, and you could always change it in here, mono stereo. It has a bunch of dope settings in here. You can mess with the amps. They got these little like guitar pedals, I guess, and you have this little mixer in here. There's just a bunch of settings, so much possibilities we could do in here. Make your own presets, get presets from some other producers that are fire and stuff, delay, the wash, all this stuff in here. You got bass tones, and then you got these Cory Wong recordings. Now the very last VST I wanted to show was Falcon, but a bank that's in Falcon that is, in my opinion, my favorite and the best string bank you could use. And I saved this for last because this really be like slowing down my computer, especially with the Cory Wong open. I might need to close this. So Falcon is really dope, but I'm not here to show Falcon. I'm here to show the bank. But if you don't have Falcon already, it's pretty dope. It's like another contact. Just throw a bunch of cool banks in here. But I only have one, but it's the only one I need, and it's the Bohemian Violin. Now maybe some of you guys have seen it, maybe some of you haven't, but I really shouldn't be showing this. Please don't overuse it because it's gonna be like the Balkan Ethnic Orchestra all over again, bro. But whatever, man. It's really dope. It's probably the best string VST in here. The only downside is that you can't play multiple notes at once. So if I try to play a chord, you see it's got to load, bro. That's how heavy this bank is. So even though it sounds beautiful, you cannot play chords in here unless you select this preset right here, the staccato, I think. But it just don't sound the same as these other ones. So what I recommend is just opening up another instance of Falcon and then just layering them all. I'm gonna mess around on the MIDI and you guys can just hear how fire this is. This one right here is probably gonna be my favorite preset. It just, the way it sounds is so realistic with a little bit of processing, compression, maybe a little bit of reverb. It just sounds so realistic, so fire. I could try to play MIDI for y'all and just see how it sounds, but like I said, it only plays one note at a time, but I guarantee you'll probably still sound fire. So yeah, like I said, I really recommend opening up multiple instances of Falcon, just cloning it and just playing each note separately on each VST, so you can layer, you know, chords and stuff. But that's pretty much it for the video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed, picked up some sauce, and try any of these VSTs. You see the names on here: Chroma, Mercury, Mtron Pro, Sky Keys, Regen Light. And then for the contact banks, you got the LA scoring strings, you have the Ondine from Teletone, you got the Wild Mothers Dulcimer, something like that, from pianobook.com. You have the Playbox, Polygrade, Falcon, Bohemian Violin, and you got all the effects right here: Airspray, Auto Chroma, and then Cory Wong. So I hope you guys enjoyed, picked up some sauce, and try any of these VSTs out. Hope you guys try some of Keon's VSTs out. I don't know what Keon picked. Keon might even show some more sauce than me. That's pretty much it. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in the next video.